Happy 4th of July!
Happy 4th of July. So, Molly and I are here in Palermo, in Buenos Aires, but since the last big update we did was on Easter Island, we've had a few things since then, and we promised we'd be doing these updates with a little more frequency. So, we'll give you a bit of a rundown of what we've been doing since then. Do you want to start us off?
So, we left Easter Island, landed back in Santiago, rented a car, and then drove to Valparaiso, which is a city on the, west coast of Chile.
It's a pretty narrow country.
It is a very narrow country, so it's only about an hour and a half outside of Santiago. There, it's a lot like San Francisco, very hilly, very colorful, a lot of ascensors, which are elevators that take you from the bottom of the hill to the top and back again for 300
300 Chilean pesos, which was 50 cents or something that for Americans. It was kind of funny because, Santiago, when we first landed, was the Andes were right there, right outside the window, and we drive an hour, and it's okay, we were in the mountains and seeing snow-covered peaks, and now we're at the ocean. But yeah, Valparaiso is just built up this slope. It's a UNESCO World Heritage site. It's very multicolored. We got a lot of good pictures there. It was a very interesting place to see, very unique looking city, I would say. So I guess it was a port city, right?
It was an important port city before the Panama Canal was built. A lot of boat traffic, obviously, a lot of shipping
would come through there, but I guess it's less important now than it once was. But there are a lot of people that still live there. But I guess part of that made it a little more crime-ridden, I guess. Sort of that big, urban, very packed together feel. So we were warned a little bit before going. But yeah, we spent a couple days there. It was cool. We got to just walk around. We took one of the ascensores. It's hard to maintain weight there. I guess they have a saying for people. They refer to people with legs from Valparaiso because they're so strong from walking up the hills all the time. We enjoyed. We went to Pablo Neruda's house, La Sebastiana. It was one of his three houses. He was a famous Chilean poet, and he was an ambassador. And I can tell the story of what happened on the way there. Yeah, so as we were walking up, we checked out. Our Airbnb host had said as long as you're in the touristy areas, you should be fine from a criminal perspective. We were staying down in the city center near the port, where it's pretty flat, and then there's they call them cerros, summits, different parts of the city. So he said the touristy ones are Alegre and Concepcion, right? And it should be pretty safe there. So anyways, that morning we went out. There was a coffee shop across the street from where we were staying that specialized in, they sourced their own coffee, they roasted it, they fixed espresso machines there. So I was chatting with them for a while. We went out, took an ascensor, we went to the different cerros. We saw a couple police cars. We didn't really think about it so much. Later, when we were walking to La Sebastiana, one of the locals said, "You guys should stick together, be very careful. It's dangerous around here." And that, sketched us out a little bit. And he said, a tourist was just killed this morning in Cerro Alegre. And we're like, really? Yeah. Just this morning it was killed. Be careful. I was looking on my phone. I can't find anything about it. I figured maybe it's this guy just trying to be a little, exaggerate a little bit just to make sure that we're cautious. So whatever, we go to the house. We don't really feel like walking back. I don't know. Some of the areas were a little too abandoned feeling.
Isolated,
we felt people staring at us out of street corners and stuff. It wasn't such a comfortable feel. So we took an Uber back, and we ended up staying in that night. And the next day we were leaving, and sure enough, we talked to our Airbnb host, and we checked the news, and sure enough, a Canadian tourist had been yeah, expat. Well, he was, yeah, I guess living here, but only for a couple years.
Okay.
I don't remember. Um, Someone tried to steal his bag on Cerro Alegre. He resisted, and he was stabbed to death in front of his family. And I remember thinking, like, oh, like, did it happen at night? No, it was 11:45 a.m. and we were at Cerro Alegre about an hour and a half later. We probably would have been there earlier had we not had a long discussion about coffee and the weirdness that is Chile's dairy selection, which is non-refrigerated. There is no refrigerated milk in Chile. But yeah, that was really sad and definitely made us thankful that we were leaving Valparaiso that day. I was a little, what's the word? I don't know. Not shocking, but it was
Like
a little.
chilling.
Yeah, it wasn't such a great feeling.
No, especially up until that point, we didn't feel very like sketched out.
Yeah, it was all right. Like we felt for the most part okay. I mean, it's an unfamiliar city, but we've been feeling fine. And then the warning happened. We're like, okay, that's sketch.
Yeah.
And then the next day we were like, wow, we're really glad we're leaving.
Yeah.
So that was sad. But Valparaiso, it's worth seeing. It's such a unique city that I think it's worth seeing. But anyways, because we don't want this video to be 45 minutes long, I guess we'll move along. So when we got back, we went to we were back in Santiago. Some friends of ours were nice enough. They were going on a trip. They let us stay in their beautiful apartment. In Las Condos. Yeah, Sanhat. It's like the nicest part of the whole city. It's beautiful there. It's like a mix of Beverly Hills and a financial district. I've been dominating the conversation. You can give us the rundown on what we were doing in Santiago, I guess.
We just mostly took it chill. We walked to the mall. We were looking for, because in Argentina it seems like there's a scarcity of like American products. We were specifically looking for bar shampoo and conditioner from Lush, and there is no Lush in Argentina. Apparently, to open a store here in Argentina, you have to grease a lot of palms, but in Chile, it's much less corrupt.
Yeah.
And a lot of there's a lot of like taxes in Argentina on foreign products. So a lot of Argentinians end up going to Chile, like we did, to buy American goods at like
Normal-ish.
normal prices. Yeah. So we were on a mission to find Lush, which we did. So we ended up at like this super nice mall that was actually nicer than like the UTC mall in La Jolla.
It was
I thought
pretty beautiful.
Had some amazing ice cream there from this Bosnian.
Yeah, somewhere in the Baltic state. I forget which one it originated in, but apparently it took off in Chile, so they have more locations in Chile than in Europe. Gosh, I'm blanking on the name right now. Oh well.
Morris Ice.
Moritz Ice.
Moritz
That's
Ice.
what it was. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. What else did we do?
We went to, there's a park in the area, Bicentenario, which is like beautiful. It's like brand new. I think it was built 7 years ago. We got some awesome shots of the Andes at sunset. There are flamingos there we took pictures of. It's just a huge park with restaurants.
We've seen like more flamingos in our time in South America than like squirrels.
Yes, yeah, more than like I think most types of birds, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen more flamingos than pigeons.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a beautiful park. They had like restaurants and stuff at the park and stuff too. It was pretty cool. We went on a wine tour to Cocina Macul.
Which is, I think, one of the oldest wineries in Chile.
Yeah.
They have like, vines from 1868?
I think that's when it first opened. Yeah, the Spaniard opened it. Let's make sure that our notes don't disappear here. We have them up on the computer. That was cool. It was too much wine for me. I was a little off balance by the end of it, and I wasn't even drinking. I would say I drank probably half of what they gave us.
Yeah. I mean,
I think those tours are better designed for people who have higher tolerances.
who have normal tolerances.
Normal tolerances, yeah.
Compared to us.
But it was still fun. It was a cool experience. Especially cool because apparently a lot of Brazilians go on those tours, and so there was someone speaking to us in Portuguese, and there was a group of, I don't know, 10, 15 people. And I was like, can we get a tour in ideally English, but at least Spanish? And they're like, oh, did you guys book the tour that way? I'm like, yeah. So they went off like 10 to 15 Brazilians, and we got a tour guide. We were the only English speakers, so we got our own tour guide for the same price, presumably. Actually, we did it on Groupon, so it was super cheap. And we got a private tour of the winery, which was pretty nice. And then we went to, I was looking up specialty coffee places, because of course, always, we found Black Mamba, which I guess is relatively new, and their coffee was excellent, and surprisingly, their food was also excellent. Usually I feel like you have to choose one or the other, but I would definitely go back there. And then you took us to, what's the neighborhood?
The Beixa Vista?
Beixa Vista, yeah.
I guess it's a famous neighborhood there. We didn't really, I feel like, have so much time. We mostly, I think it rained one day, and
yeah, and it was a Monday, so I think everything was closed at the time. Like, there was a second, Pablo Neruda's house in Santiago was there. We walked by, but you couldn't really see anything from outside. Yeah, we had a pretty chill time in Santiago. It was nice to relax. We cooked our own food, and that was really nice. So yeah, after that we flew up to the north to the desert to Calama. Calama, nothing special, mining town. I guess there are a lot of copper mines around there. All the housing looked like it was like corporate housing for people to come and work. Apparently it's very common for people to go there during the week and then go back home to their families on the weekend. But the real reason to be there was to go to San Pedro de Atacama, to the Atacama Desert.
Like an hour and 20 minutes away?
Yeah, so we rented a car and drove out there. I always think it's, when I got there, it was sort of striking. I didn't really know what to expect. It looked to me like a movie set for a Mexican city set in, like, I don't know, the early 1900s or something. A lot of mud and adobe construction. It was a very unique looking town to me. It was charming. A lot of it was surprisingly new construction, and the Airbnb we stayed in was like a month and a half old, and it was beautifully done. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you talk about what we saw there.
Well, we rented a car, which was important because we did not book any tours, so it was all self-driving tours. And the first day we went south, so I think we're at like San Pedro de Atacama is about around 8,000 feet.
Yes.
And then we drove southeast to some lagoons and salt flats.
I think it was the Salar de Talar is the salt flat, and Tuyajto Lagoon. I wrote it down. It was the lagoon that the main. We went to a few lagoons, but that was like one of the main ones that we went to.
And that was at like almost 14,000 feet.
I think it was close to 15,000 actually. It was
okay.
Yeah, between 14 and 15,000 feet elevation.
So it was pretty striking. Of course, you're supposed to give yourself a day or two in San Pedro de Atacama to adjust to the altitude, but nope, we landed the first day and drove
the next
morning to like the highest elevation, so that wasn't probably so smart.
That was brutal.
We took ibuprofen prophylactically for our headaches, and
it was just exhausting. I mean, well, even when we arrived in San Pedro de Atacama, I had a bit of a headache going at 8,000.
Well, you're so sensitive.
But yeah, the next at like 14, 15,000 feet, it was like the sun was blinding, even with sunglasses on. The sun felt extremely hot when you could feel it, but the wind was like
cold,
extremely cold and very potent. So you'd be freezing, and then the wind would stop for a second, and you'd be sweating, and then you'd be freezing again, and you'd be out of breath just from standing outside, like
from getting out of the car.
It was brutal.
Even like turning in bed was like I was getting like winded.
It's you don't realize. I mean, I don't really have that much experience going up to elevation, and especially because we didn't acclimate. Getting up there to like 15,000 feet and stepping outside and just trying to walk around was like, it was way, way more difficult than what I expected it to be. It wasn't just the headache. It was just, you don't realize how much that oxygen helps. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that wind was pretty strong, so I felt like I was being blown around, beaten up by it too. But man, those sites were beautiful.
It was pretty unique. A lot of different colors.
Yeah.
The salt flats were really cool. Unfortunately, we couldn't get up. Like, I thought we'd be able to get up like close to the edge, but no, that's coming soon.
They used to be able to.
Yeah, well, up until, I mean, within the past 2 years, they've completely paved the road, so it makes access much easier. But that also means they're getting ready for more tourists to come. So I think up until 2 years ago, you would have been, no one was watching you, no one was charging you admission, so you could do what you wanted to do.
Just go see it up close, walk around.
Yeah, now, like, we got out of the car, it was like, nope, you have to stay on this little path to go out to this lookout, and that's all you can do. You can't get close at all, which was, like, really disappointing.
Yeah, especially, those are long trips out there, but I guess they're working on creating hiking trails, but they're all closed for now, and you could see the old roads, and they're all closed off. So we came at time in the sense that it's nice to have the roads, but then when you get there, you can't really do anything other than check out the overlooks. I'm sure in a couple of years, the hikes will be done, or a couple of years ago, you would have to suffer through unpaved roads, but at least you could experience what's there.
Yeah, and there were guards at all the places we stopped, so.
Napping in a couple places.
Yeah.
I get the feeling there's not much for them to do out there.
Yeah, but it made it so we couldn't
get up close to stuff, so that kind of sucked. But the views were still pretty incredible.
Very unique.
I was struck by how different. I expected like desert, like okay, you see deserty things, but the lagoons were like, I don't know, it looked almost icy blue because there was salt on the bottom, so it was like blue water on top of a white bottom. And so it had this like pale blue effect, and then the salt flats themselves were multicolored, and then you'd see like the sand dunes and the different types of desert. It was very multicolored. We went that day to a lake Chaksa, which is also like very apparently saltier than the Dead Sea.
3 times saltier.
Wow. And it's just like very like shallow water on top of this salt bed, and there's dried up salt flats there too, and there's a ton of flamingos that go hang out there. So you get these like mirror effects in the water where it just, if you look at the mountains in the distance, you see them replicated on the water. We got some really cool pictures. It was just very unique to see.
We stayed for sunset, which was beautiful.
That was cool. That was really cool. But that area is crazy. There are gas stations in Calama, and there's one gas station in San Pedro de Atacama, and there isn't another gas station for a 100-mile radius. There's other towns, but there's no gas station. I was in disbelief. Apparently they're building another gas station in San Pedro, which is good because that first night we tried to go fill up gas, and the gas station is in the dead center of town, which isn't very well laid out. And so there's this insane traffic down what is effectively a 1-lane road. It probably would have been an hour wait for gas that night. It was nuts. So we just turned around and went home. They badly need another gas station, but apparently it's almost done.
And then the second day, we opted to go to Valle de la Luna.
Valle de la Luna, yeah.
And
Valley of the Moon.
Moon Valley, which was very unworldly. A lot of rock, sand, some salt, and sun, and no life except for tourists.
Yeah, no plants, no bugs.
Yeah,
nothing.
just these like crazy landscapes that did feel very much like we went to the moon. We shot some videos there, and we were there for sunset as well, but we got kicked out. We were gonna do our
we wanted to do this update video overlooking the Valley of the Moon, but there was a guy just creepily standing outside of our car, and we're like, is he a guard? Like, what's the deal? So I roll down the window. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, we're closed. You have to leave. I'm like, what? I guess Chile was playing in the Copa America that night, so they all wanted to get home to watch the game. They couldn't leave people there, so whatever. But yeah, the Valley of the Moon it's interesting just how I think it's the driest place on Earth other than Antarctica.
There's parts of the Atacama Desert that makes it the second driest place in the world behind Antarctica.
Haven't seen rain in
400 years. Parts of the desert.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily the Valley of the Moon, but
okay.
that's where a lot of like observatories are, because the night sky is so brilliant there, and there's because it's so dry, there's little precipitation in the atmosphere, so and because you're so high up and there's like virtually no light pollution, a lot of telescopes are there, and a lot of big stargazing. I wish we had signed up for a stargazing tour, but we didn't. We went out on our own.
That, and we didn't think ahead because we left a few days before the total solar eclipse in the area, and it would have been really cool to be there. But
I don't know if it was if they were in the zone for total.
I think they were pretty close. I don't know if it was
Buenos
exact.
Aires was 99%
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. I don't know in the Atacama Desert if it was exact, but I think it was fairly close. But we did get out and, did some amateur stargazing, which was pretty cool. I've never seen the Milky Way like that. I mean, we couldn't take pictures because our phones are really not good at those types of exposures, but you just look up and it was like, well, there's the Milky Way. You just see it clear as day. It was
You're such a city boy.
I grew up in San Diego.
I know.
It was cool. I thought it was very unique. We did get blasted with sand and dust while we were out there, though. I felt
Not
like it was
at nighttime.
everywhere. No, not at
That
night.
was
I mean, when
in
we were
Valley
hiking
of
during.
the Moon.
Yeah, when we were hiking out there during the day, it just high winds and a lot of dust. Felt like we got in everything.
I was not prepared for that.
So, anyways, once we finished there, we headed back to Buenos Aires, but we got lucky. The airline system is a little weird here. The short version is we didn't get to choose our seats for that flight because we'd essentially chosen a basic economy flight, and we'd been put in like the very back of the plane, and we were given the opportunity to bid on first class seats. So we bid $70 per person, which isn't really that much for first class. We didn't really think we'd get it, and we did. So we went from like row 47 to row 1 and had an awesome first class experience.
For all of an hour and 20 minutes.
It was like an hour and 40 minutes, but it was still cool. It was comfortable. Yeah. Like, I don't know, you get escorted off the plane first. The service is more personal. I've flown a first class one time in my life, like 11 years ago. So I don't know. It was really, really cool and worth the price for $70 an upgrade. That was awesome. So yeah, we're back in Buenos Aires and Palermo
for pretty much the next 2 months until the end of August. We just booked our tickets to Europe.
Yeah, we're going to Iguazu for a few days.
The waterfalls.
The waterfalls up north. We might do some more travel also to Uruguay or whatever, but nothing set in stone. In the meantime, we've just been waiting for a cable guy who was supposed to come yesterday between 8 and 2 and didn't, and then was supposed to come between 1 and 6 and didn't, and apparently showed up at like 7:40 when we, after being prisoners in the apartment for 10 hours, decided to go out for a walk.
At 7:30.
Yeah, so
left. Yeah.
He was supposed to come again today between 8 and 2 and didn't, and now I've been told between 2 and 7 he will arrive, and it is currently 2:52, and I am very skeptical that he's coming. Yeah, so in the meantime, we've just been sort of planning our future, looking into our European travel. Your parents are coming soon for a couple weeks.
Excited.
Should be cool. We're looking into Spanish classes for Molly. You might start like official ones soon.
Yes.
That'd be cool. And of course, there's a coffee shop nearby, but they do like specialty coffee. They have some certification and they do classes, barista training classes. And I thought that might be fun, so I'm going to reach out to them and see if we can do that. Apparently they do them in English and Spanish, and initially I just assumed that we'd do it in Spanish and it would be extra language classes for you, but we should probably do it in English if that's an option. So we'll see. Maybe I'll become a trained barista while we're here.
Just you?
Well, no, both of us.
Yeah, but you said you.
Well, I can only speak for myself. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as our update goes. Our next update, I don't know. if things are eventful in the next week, we'll do a weekly update, but otherwise it might be 2 weeks because I figure we'll have a lot more downtime here. We won't be moving around as much, so
Yeah.
there won't be as much to be updating on. Anyways, that's it for me. All good?
Nothing to add.
All right. Well, that's it for this update. Sorry it's longer than expected, but you can always play this at 1.5 times speed if you really want.
Like Ryan does for everything.
It's faster that way. All right. See you
Ciao.
later.